Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Red and Blue Review. My name is Nick Philpott and I'm your host this evening, and I'm joined by my wingman, Joe Holyoke. How you doing, mate?
I'm all right, mate.
For this very, very special broadcast, something that we've been planning for months and months and months, and we thought we would treat you this evening by introducing you. I've been doing these podcasts now for many years, and the pinnacle of what I wanted to do has happened today, and it's here for you, for your benefit, ladies and gentlemen. Ladies and gentlemen, it is my greatest pleasure to introduce to you England, Man United, and four-time manager of Crystal Palace. Please welcome Steve Coppell. Steve, welcome to the Red and Blue Review.
Thank you very much. Thanks for inviting me.
That was some introduction there.
It was.
I've been planning that in my head all day. And I'm also joined, of course, by the team. Nigel Croucher, good evening, mate.
Good evening. Good evening, Steve.
Evening, Marge.
And down in Sussex, Ian Noble. Welcome again, mate. How are you?
Yeah, I'm well, Nick. Evening, everyone. Evening, Steve.
Evening.
Steve, what we're going to do is we're going to go through from the early days all the way through to present day, if you don't mind.
Right.
Okay, yeah. And we're going to start now with what made you choose a career in football, as you were studying, I understand, for a degree in economic history. Am I right?
Well, my degree is in economic history, but I was studying economics, so it's a little bit confusing. But I think to a certain extent, I'd always wanted to be a footballer. I was a Liverpool fan as a kid, 1959-60, when Liverpool got promoted from the second to the first division. I went with my dad. I missed one game that season. My dad used to drop me off at the boys' pen, and I'd watch the game from there, which was a scary experience in itself back in the day. And I think that planted a seed. And at school, at primary school, I was a decent player. And I was fortunate enough to play in the first Liverpool primary boys 11 a long time ago. And that's, again, I felt as if I had the skill to be a decent player. But then I passed the 11 plus. I went to a grammar school in Liverpool where you weren't allowed to play for the under 15, under 16 Liverpool boys team. But to be honest, I wasn't good enough at that age. I hardly grew from 11, 12. I wasn't 5 foot till I was 17. It got to 14, 15, and my sort of contemporaries, the ones who were good players, were getting trials, and some were being signed on by Liverpool and Everton and other clubs. And I realised, I was a boy at 15, 16, playing against men who were shaving and, desperate dance. And my father always used to say to me, if you're good enough, you're big enough. But, I tried to explain to him that I was a young boy playing against men. I couldn't compete. And then I decided to concentrate on my A-levels and try and get to university. And having made that decision, I started growing to the height I am now, 5'7". But all of a sudden I could compete. I played for my boys' club. And just before my A-levels, playing for my boys' club, a scout stopped me after a game from Tranmere, and he said, we'd like to invite you for trials at Tranmere. And I said to him, I'm sorry, but I've got A-levels coming up and I'm revising at the moment. I don't really have time to come for your trial. And I didn't regret that at all. And literally probably 3 weeks before my A-levels were starting, I got a phone call at home, and the scout said, listen, we're just checking. We've got a trial game this weekend at Prenton Park. He said the magic words, Prenton Park, a league ground on the main pitch. So he also invited the centre forward for my boys' club team. So the two of us were going to go as a little combo, and obviously playing together in the boys' club, we understood each other. And we both went to Prenton Park one Sunday. I remember my team won the game 5-2. I'm playing with my big centre forward mate, and I scored a hat-trick in the game. And afterwards, the scout came up and said, we'd like to sign your own amateur forms. So they signed the amateur forms that particular day. I didn't really know what that meant at the time. And then a couple of weeks after I'd finished my A-levels, Tranmere started pre-season training. Well, at this stage, I'm 18. And I knew then I was going to university. University starts in October. This was June, July. So I had sort of 2-3 months where I had nothing planned. They invited me for pre-season training. I went for pre-season training. And I had a year then where I was as an amateur, not getting paid. And I had a dream. Not a dream as such, but I had an ambition to play in the Football League as an amateur. And obviously Tranmere, given their financial plight, were only too pleased to see me achieve that ambition. So I played my first year at Tranmere, and I never played in the first team during that year. I was just playing in the midweek reserve team, but training with the first team almost on a daily basis, because I could jam it in between my lectures and tutorials.
I've got to ask you, did you make the mate that you went with from your Sunday league team?
No,
I was thinking that as well.
No, he was bummed out. He was bummed out, and I was signed on. So I played a year as an amateur, and my second year at university, I signed a part-time contract with Tranmere, £10 a week. My predecessor, and somebody I roomed with Tranmere trips when the few occasions we did stay overnight, was Mark Pallios.
Oh, really?
Who was a year ahead of me. He was at Manchester University. So my second year at university, he'd just finished university and had gone full-time at Tranmere as a player. And halfway through my second year at university, I got the call to meet with Tommy Doherty to get transferred
to Man United. First of all, I'd like to just take a slight step back. A Liverpool boy playing for Manchester United.
That was my question.
A Liverpool boy playing for Manchester United. How did that happen? But tell me about the Doherty.
You think for me, as a Liverpool fan, you know, the 1965 FA Cup winning team for Liverpool beat Leeds 2-1 in St. John, tremendous header. You know, great day for me as a 10, 11-year-old. Sensational. You know, Liverpool winning the FA Cup. In goal was Tommy Lawrence. Centre half was Ron Yates. Midfield player Willie Stevenson. Tranmere were managed by Ron Yates. When I was training at university, but training most days at Tranmere, Tommy Lawrence used to drive past my house on East Lancashire Road, going through Liverpool, through the tunnel to get to Tranmere. He used to give me a lift. I would have paid for it. I would have paid for it.
Yeah, unbelievable.
Tommy Lawrence had the unfortunate nickname of the Flying Pig.
Yeah.
He was a little bit chunky, to say the least. And we used to train at Tranmere, and he used to live in Lee or something like that. It was a fair old schlep from Birkenhead to get there.
Yeah.
After training, he would literally, he didn't have a shower. He walked round the showers, hardly dried, put his clothes on, got in the car to drive home. If you weren't ready and waiting, he could drive off. He was all preempted when training was finished, and he thought, right, I'll bomb in, get a quick shower before he comes through, and then jump in the car. So for me, like, it was like a dream to be involved with this environment. But Ron Yates was manager, and we used to play on a Friday night. And I got into the team, and then I started doing okay. But again, I played mainly for Tranmere as a centre forward. And the big Ron, sometimes on a Friday night, would say to me, pull me to one side, and he'd say, oh, wee man, he called me wee man. He said, Liverpool people are here tonight. And as soon as he said that, I would SH1 team myself.
As I would have done.
And I wouldn't play well. So I had in the back of my mind, and all along I'm thinking, get my degree and then see what happens with football. So nothing happened with Liverpool. And then Tranmere were due to play Aldershot. And we weren't doing great. We were in what is now Div 1, the level. And we weren't doing great at the bottom of the table. So Ron Yates decided to take the team to Aldershot on the training camp before playing on the Saturday at Aldershot. So I think they went down on the Tuesday, and because I had election tutorials, I couldn't go. So on the Wednesday, I got a phone call from Dave Russell, the general manager at Tranmere. He said, Steve, he said, I've got Tommy Docherty in my office. He said, we've agreed a fee to sell you to Man United for £60,000. So no agents in those days, nothing. And this was literally like 11 o'clock one Wednesday morning. And he said, get yourself over here quick, as soon as you can. I had to get the bus. The bus, the ferry, and then another bus to get to Brentford Park. So like 2 hours after he phoned, as soon as he phoned, I phoned my dad. And I said, you know, Dad, they agreed to sell me to United. He said, what do you think? He said, well, let me put it this way. He says, I don't think you turn Man United down. Because you might want to do other things, but you don't turn Man United down. I phoned up Ron Yates because I thought maybe they were selling me behind his back without him knowing, because he was in Aldershot with the rest of the team. Yeah. So he said, no, I know all about it. I wish you the very best. It's a fabulous club. You know, we'll see you soon, no doubt. So got myself over there. And before I went in to see Tommy Docherty, the general manager of Tranmere, Dave Russell, pulled me to one side. He said, listen, I've told Tommy Docherty that you're earning £30 a week. I was on £10 a week. He said, if he asks you, you're on £30 a week. Okay. I said, yeah, all right. I introduced to the doc. The doc says to me, he said, Steve, he says, I've never seen you play. He said, but people whose opinions I respect say you're a decent player, so we've agreed to sign you. How much you're earning? And again, no agents, nothing. I said, I'm on £30 a week. He said, I'll double it. To this day, I think he just said that for effect. So if I'd have said £40 a week, £50 a week, £60 a week, he would have just, because it, you know, relatively, it wasn't a great deal of money in those. For me as a student at university, my grant per term, I was getting a grant, was £80 per 10-week term.
Wow. So this is a full-time professional contract, yeah? Well,
again, I said to him, I said, listen, you know, that sounds great to me, but, you know, I'm at university. I'm just coming up to the end of my second year. I said, if you let me finish my second year, I can do my third year anytime. And he said, no, absolutely not. He said, football, he said, it's a hard business. It'll chew you up and spit you out like that. He says, you're going to finish your degree because that'll be with you for life. And to this day, really? I am ever so grateful for, you know, I always say Tommy Docherty had the second biggest effect on my life beside my dad. You know, the fella, when he passed away, 6 months ago or something like that.
Absolutely. When was that? When did you sign for United?
74, I think it was. Something like that.
Did you play in the cup final? I can't remember.
Well, I joined when they were in the second division.
Oh, of course, yeah.
We had 11, and my first game, I signed on the Wednesday, or I'd agreed to sign on the Wednesday. And the doc says to me, he said, you're with us on Saturday. We're playing Cardiff. We have a pre-match meal at Old Trafford Cricket Club, the cricket ground. He said, get your arse there for 12 o'clock. Well, I didn't have a clue about Manchester, Old Trafford, wherever. And I did have a car. And it was an old Austin 1300, I think it was. It was a bit of a bone rattler. So again, drive to Manchester down East Lancs Road. I had to stop people. Where's Old Trafford? And also, because I was due to be playing at Aldershot, my boots were with the Tranmere team at Aldershot.
Oh, Christ, yeah.
So I turned up at Old Trafford Cricket Ground, walked in, had never met any of the players. I obviously knew the names from the TV and all this. And Martin Buchan, who was the captain, introduced me to everyone. He was brilliant. And we have pre-match meal there, and I am frightened to death. The doc says to me, right, son, he said, you're going to be subbed today. And that was in the days of one sub. So I said, oh, brilliant, great. I said, there's a small problem here. I said, I've got no boots. What do you mean? I've got my boots are with the Tranmere at Aldershot. So I borrowed an old pair of Stuart Pearson's to send home. So again, get to the game. Well, at Old Trafford, the doc, I'm waiting for the inspirational team talk at 12:30 before we drive over to the football ground, which is only like 800 yards away. Doc gets up, and it's very much, he said, I was at dinner this week, and I heard a great story. This fellow walks into a pub, and I'm thinking, this is supposed to be, inspirational football tactics and all this. He tells a joke. He says, right, boys, just go out there today, enjoy yourselves, express yourselves, don't be worried about making mistakes. We do what we do, all the best. I think, this is not what I expected. Turn up at the game, and it was at the time when United were just having a little bit of a stutter in the league. Willie Morgan was playing right wing, and he and Doc had fallen out. So after an hour in the game, it's 0-0. Crowd are getting a bit restless. Doc's getting anxious. He shouts to me, he says, have a warm up, you're coming on. I didn't even know what a warm up was. I run up and down a couple of things. I'm ready, let's go. And board goes up, Willie Morgan. Willie was really popular with the crowd. And when the board went up, we were having a corner. It was our corner. So Willie comes off, shakes my hand, I run on, and it's like booze, because they're unhappy that Willie's come on. I've done nothing.
They've probably never heard of you.
Yeah. Well, the programme, my surname is spelt Kopel.
Cop as well.
Well, there used to be a player who played for United called Frank Coppell.
Oh, okay.
So anyway, we have a corner. I run on to muffled booze almost. And as I run on, I don't even make the penalty box. Corner comes in, Stuart Houston header, they score. 1-0. I'm celebrating with people I don't know for something I've not done. And then the first time I get the ball, I'm on the right wing, and panic, didn't know what to do, cross the ball into the box, Stuart Pearson scores. And we ended up winning the game 4-0, and I had a hand in one of the other goals. So I come off the pitch, and I'm thinking, this is heaven. This is beyond heaven. Students, no boots, come and play. We win 4-0, 0-0 when it came on. And it was unbelievable. I just felt so great. And then for the rest of the season, we never lost another game.
I just thought 74 was the Liverpool-Newcastle. Liverpool beat Newcastle. Did you play in the 77 final?
I played, well,
against Liverpool. Stuart Pearson scored.
Yeah, no, there's a gap between them, because the following year, that year we got promoted.
Yeah.
And there is a little story about, for me, indulge myself in.
Please do.
Many years later, I think I played 12 games in the second division. And the final game, we're there at Old Trafford, presented with the championship trophy, presentation of little medals. And years later, I saw Willie Morgan, and he says to me, you've got my medal. So what do you mean? He said, well, in that year, in those days, you had to play at least 14 games to get a medal.
I remember that. Yeah,
I only played 12.
No.
He says, you've got my medal. I says, I think I have, yeah. I said, but you're not having it. He said, it's mine now. That's it. He laughed it off. He was all right about it. But